What would you do if you suddenly won millions of dollars, but the people you trusted most saw you as nothing more than a wallet? I'm Ethan, and when I hit the jackpot, I didn't tell a soul. Instead, I stayed silent and asked my family for help. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to see their true faces. What I discovered nearly shattered me, but it also gave me the sweetest revenge I could imagine. Before I begin, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever been underestimated or betrayed by your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to Mortal Revenge, because this story will make you think twice about who really cares about you. It happened on a rainy Thursday. I was standing in line at the corner store, tired from a long shift at my IT job, when I bought a lottery ticket on a whim. I wasn't a regular player. I usually considered it a waste of money. But that night, I had a few dollars in change, and something in me whispered, why not? The next morning, as I sipped my coffee, I scanned the numbers on the news. One by one, they matched. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Then the reality hit me like a freight train. I had won $5 million. I sat there in stunned silence, staring at the ticket. My hands shook. My chest tightened. My whole life had just changed in an instant. But as quickly as the excitement came, so did fear. Not of the money itself, but of the people around me. Because I knew my family. They weren't cruel in obvious ways, but I'd spent my whole life watching them measure love in dollars. My brother Daniel constantly borrowed money from me and never paid it back. My cousin Lisa only called when she needed cash. My parents, divorced long ago, both carried their own bitterness about money, each insisting the other had stolen from them. If they found out I had $5 million, I wouldn't just be Ethan anymore. I'd be an ATM. So I decided I wouldn't tell them, not yet. Instead of celebrating, I made a plan. I claimed the winnings discreetly, hired a financial advisor, and set up trusts and investments. The money was real, untouchable mine. But I wanted to know who in my family loved me for me, and who loved me only for what I could give them. So I stayed silent. I kept living in my modest apartment, driving my old car, working my regular job. To everyone else, nothing had changed. Then I began my test. One by one, I approached my family members, pretending to be in need. Not desperately poor, so just struggling. I told them I was behind on bills, that my car had broken down, that I might not make rent. I didn't need their money, of course, but I needed their reactions. And the results were devastating. Daniel was the first. My older brother, the one who used to tell me, family sticks together. I called him one night, my voice hesitant. Hey, Dan, I'm in a bit of a bind. My car broke down and I don't have the cash to fix it right now. Do you think you could lend me a couple hundred? Just until payday? Silence, then laughter. Ethan, come on. You know I'm strapped. Why don't you take the bus? Or better yet, stop buying junk you don't need. I reminded him, gently, of the countless times I'd covered his rent, his bills, his bad habits. But he brushed it off. That's different. You always had a little extra, me. I can't just hand out money like candy. I hung up the phone, my stomach in knots. So that's how it is, I thought. Lisa was next. She was always the charming one, bubbly, full of energy. But she had a way of disappearing unless she needed something. I asked her over coffee if she could help cover part of my rent. Just this once. I even promised to pay her back with interest. She looked at me like I'd grown two heads. Ethan, I can barely afford my own stuff. Why would you even ask me that? Honestly, it's kind of selfish. Everyone knows you're the responsible one. You'll figure it out. Selfish, that word stung. Because for years, I'd been the one to slip her cash for textbooks, groceries, even a vacation she deserved, and now, I wasn't worth a dime. The hardest test was my mother. We'd always had a complicated relationship. She loved me, I knew that. But her love was tangled with expectation. She wanted me to be the son who saved her from her own mistakes. When I told her I was struggling, she sighed heavily. Ethan, I can't bail you out. You're a grown man. Maybe if you had a family of your own, you'd understand what real responsibility is. Then she added, almost sharply, don't come to me for money again. I don't have it. It wasn't the refusal that hurt. It was the lack of empathy, the dismissal, as if my worth was tied only to what I could provide, not who I was. By the end of those tests, I was hollow. I had millions in the bank, but I felt poorer than ever. Because the truth was undeniable. Almost no one in my family cared about me without strings attached. But instead of despair, a strange clarity settled over me. I finally knew where I stood. And with that knowledge came power. I decided if money revealed character, I would use mine to show them who they really were, and to take back my dignity once and for all. That was when I began planning my silent revenge. A few months later, I sent out invitations to a family gathering. I framed it as a catch-up dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Nothing extravagant, just a chance to reconnect. They all came. Daniel in his flashy leather jacket, Lisa with her designer purse, my mother with a critical eye scanning the decor. I kept my smile polite, my voice calm. We ate, we chatted. They complained about bills and bragged about little victories. Then, at dessert, I cleared my throat. I wanted to share some news, I said. A few months ago, something big happened in my life. But before I tell you, I need to ask, when I came to you for help, why did you all turn me away? The table went silent. Lisa shifted uncomfortably. Daniel scoffed. My mother pursed her lips. What does that have to do with anything? Daniel muttered. Everything, I replied, because the truth was about to land like a thunderbolt. The silence around the table was heavy, almost suffocating. I looked at each of them, Daniel, Lisa, my mother, and I let the pause stretch long enough for them to fidget. Then I said calmly, a few months ago I won the lottery. $5 million? Gasps, forks clattered against plates. My mother's eyes widened. Lisa's jaw dropped. Daniel blinked as though he'd misheard. I leaned back, watching the shock ripple through them. Yes, I continued. 5 million. And when I asked for help, a couple hundred here. A bit of rent there. Not one of you said yes. Not even for a brother, a cousin, a son. Daniel sputtered. Wait, hold on. You're telling me you had millions and you tested us? That's messed up, Ethan. Messed up? I raised an eyebrow. Or revealing, because the truth was their reactions told me everything I needed to know. The anger didn't last long. Almost immediately, the questions began. So, what are you going to do with it? Lisa asked, her voice suddenly sweet. You know, Ethan, maybe we got off on the wrong foot, Daniel added. We're brothers, blood, we should stick together. My mother leaned forward, her tone shifting from sharp to saccharine. Ethan, darling, I only refused because I didn't want you to rely on me. But now that you're successful, maybe we could invest in something together. For the family. Their greed was shameless, transparent, and it made my next move all the sweeter. I pulled a stack of envelopes from my bag and set them on the table. In here, I explained our checks, real ones. But before you get excited, listen carefully. Their eyes locked on the envelopes like vultures spotting meat. These checks are for charities, shelters, and scholarships, all in your names. Confusion flickered across their faces. What do you mean, in our names? Lisa asked. I smiled. It means that instead of giving money directly to people who couldn't spare me a dime when I asked, I decided to honor your names by helping those who actually need it. So when a single mother gets housing, when a kid gets their tuition paid, when a shelter gets stocked, it'll be thanks to the generosity of Daniel, Lisa, and Mom. Their mouths fell open. Daniel choked. You gave my money to strangers? No, I corrected softly. I gave my money to people who deserved compassion. You had your chance. The dinner erupted. Lisa accused me of humiliating her. Daniel slammed his fist on the table, calling me a traitor. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a napkin, muttering about ungrateful children. But I sat there calm as a stone in a storm. Because the power was no longer theirs. It was mine. By the end of the night, they stormed out, each convinced I'd wronged them. None of them realized that the real inheritance I'd left behind was the mirror of their own character. In the weeks that followed, I expected isolation. And yes, some family members cut me off completely. But others, distant cousins, old friends, even neighbors, reached out. Not because of the money, but because they'd heard about what I'd done with it. You helped fund the youth center? One neighbor asked. That scholarship in Lisa's name and my niece applied for it, said another. Slowly, word spread. I wasn't just the guy who won the lottery. I was the man who turned betrayal into generosity, and that gave me something money couldn't buy, respect. Months later, Daniel came to me desperate. His debts had caught up with him. Creditors were circling. He sat across from me, pale and sweating. Ethan, please. You're my brother. I need help. Just this once. I thought of the night I'd begged him for a couple $100, of the laughter in his voice. I already helped you, Daniel, I said gently. Your name is on a shelter that feeds 100 people a day. That's your legacy now." His face twisted with anger, but beneath it I saw something else. Shame. For once, he had to face himself. The money gave me freedom, but it also gave me perspective. I bought a modest home, not a mansion. I kept my old car, though I treated myself to a few upgrades. I invested wisely, secured my future. But most importantly, I built boundaries. I learned that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you're in need. And ironically, the test that had broken me at first ended up freeing me. One evening, sitting on my porch, I thought about that lottery ticket. About chance, luck, and choice. Winning the lottery didn't change my family. It revealed them. And maybe that was the real jackpot. Because while they were consumed by greed, I discovered something far richer: the power to walk away, the wisdom to give where it mattered, and the peace of knowing that love isn't bought. It's proven. That was my story. If you've ever seen someone's true colors when money was involved, drop your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Like this video if you believe wealth should reveal character, not destroy it. Subscribe to Mortal Revenge for more real-life stories of betrayal, justice, and unexpected payback. And hit that bell because the next story might remind you why silence is sometimes the sharpest revenge. Remember this: money doesn't change people. It just unmasks them.